I mean, truly, I'm nearing the end of my career, right? But the people who are in their 30s and 20s that I work with, you are so lucky this didn't exist. I mean, Webvan, people laughed at it back then, burned $1 billion to do what? Deliver groceries? It all makes perfect sense now.
Sure.
It's just kind of early, and I think we're in the same kind of phase here, right? We're early. We're not sure which projects will have traction.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to be diving into fundamentals and video clips showing you all that crypto is being integrated into the financial system and that the largest market participants, some of the likes of the biggest financial institutions on the face of this planet, are the ones telling you guys that crypto is a legitimate asset class. And so on days like this, especially to a new investor in this space, when the entire market is red, when just a couple of days ago it was extremely bullish and euphoric and everything was green, it can be extremely daunting coming into this space and not knowing what you're getting yourself into, and then solidifying a long-term perspective on where this asset class is headed. So in today's video breakdown, I'm going to do my due diligence to show you guys that crypto is not going anywhere, and that in market downturns like this, when everything is discounted across the board, it is my personal opinion that you should be seeing these days as opportunities to stack blue chip digital assets that actually have real world value and future use cases that could be finally integrated into the financial system in the future moving forward. So if you guys enjoyed today's video breakdown, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. This is going to be one of those videos that you can share with a friend or a family member that is skeptical about crypto, because we're going to be listening to insights from some of the world's largest institutions like Signum, Fidelity, and even the EU Commission. All right. And so just sit back, relax. Let's start off with today's video breakdown by setting the tone. We're going to be listening to individual institutional representatives on stage mention that not having digital assets or crypto exposure in your portfolio is actually more risky than getting involved, right? Because you risk being left behind, especially after financial institutions onboard into the space. So take a second here and listen to what these industry-leading experts have to say.
Everyone's curious what banks are seeing, what you're, seeing from your customers. What kind of demand have you seen for crypto-related services?
So, I think from our perspective, we are banking the people that are banking those that are in the crypto space. And so the demand has been immense, to be honest. And I think for a long time, especially in TradFi, there was a hesitance to dip your toe into the digital asset sector because of the high costs of compliance and the perhaps question of, was this something that was going to stick? And I think the answer is pretty clear and evident that it absolutely is. And now I think it's more dangerous for the US and for banks to not be willing to invest in it in the right compliant manner. But the demand is absolutely there.
From your perspective, what is the appropriate level of allocation that institutional investors should consider when they're looking at bringing digital assets into a portfolio?
So what I'd like to say is that zero allocation to the space is the wrong answer. More than 2 to 10%, 10% if you can't stand it, if you're not all in on the space, is also the wrong answer. This is a nascent asset class. It is risky, but what has us all excited about the space is the asymmetry of risk reward.
It's going to happen. It's inevitable. So positioning yourself as an investor in areas that you feel are going to prosper from it is really important.
Positioning yourself in areas that you believe are going to prosper are extremely important right now. And you heard those other two industry-leading experts from very large financial institutions talk about how it is more risky not having crypto in your portfolio, specifically talking about financial institutions. And then the other individual was asked, from an institutional perspective, how much should you have allocated to this digital asset space? And she clear as day said, having 0% allocated to this digital asset space is the wrong answer. All right. And so again, these are industry leading experts in the field of digital assets and traditional finance, and they are sitting on stage telling you guys that this is all happening at a very rapid pace. Just to show you guys how many people are actually seeing the videos that I'm playing for you guys, this video is only from 2 months ago, so it's all relatively fresh information, right? All this info is from within the last year. This has 141 views. The other video breakdown that I showed you only has 800 views, and the video prior to that one only has 5,000 views. There are billions of people on this planet, ladies and gentlemen, millions of individuals invested in the digital asset ecosystem. And these are the types of videos, for some odd reason, that people are ignoring. So again, it just goes to show that this is the type of information that you want to be tapped into, because this is what nobody else is watching. Now, this is even more interesting because this is coming from someone in the regulatory space. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get a strike or something like this, because this video clip does have some background music here. So I'm going to play it. Hopefully it's not copyright or anything like that. But this was posted on Circle's LinkedIn profile just 4 days ago, so relatively fresh. And it says here, one of the key achievements of Micah, or Mika, however you pronounce it, tomato, is the formal recognition of crypto assets as a legitimate and enduring market. Again, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister, who's like, crypto is a scam, because they're always scrolling on TikTok, they're always on Instagram, they're always on YouTube, looking at all the scam stuff on Instagram. They're not paying attention to the regulators tell you that crypto is actually a legitimate asset class. By acknowledging the potential of the 21st century methodologies and technology, Mika underscores the role crypto can play in modernizing the financial sector and the broader economy. This is coming directly from Peter Kirstens. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He is an advisor at the EU Commission. So I'm sure that he has more credentials than your mom, your uncle, your brother, your sister. And if you're going to share this video to them, let them know that individuals with many more credentials than them are saying directly, publicly on open forums that crypto is actually a legitimate ecosystem. Now, keep in mind, not all crypto is. You need to be paying attention to blue chip digital assets that, again, provide real world value and use case, which we'll remind you all about in today's video breakdown. So just take a second and listen to what this individual gentleman says here. I'm just going to play about 30 seconds of this video clip.
I think the greatest achievements which we have reached with Mika are, first of all, I think a recognition that crypto assets are a real market, that they are legitimate, that they are here to stay, that they contain risks, but also that they present enormous opportunities.
They are legitimate. They are here to stay. Yes, they have inherent risk behavior attached to them because it is a risky asset class and there's ways to mitigate that risk, but there is enormous opportunity at hand. And I truly don't think that people saying that crypto is a scam or that it's not legitimate even understand what it is that they're saying, and it just shows ignorance on their behalf. Okay, this is again coming from an individual representative, and if you want to take a look at his credentials, right, we can go ahead and do so. If we scroll right down here, you know, on his LinkedIn profile, you can see that he is an advisor at the European Commission. All right. You know, so this information is very publicly available. Now, I want you guys just to take a second and listen to this because this is going to go hand in hand with something that Signum just recently posted on their LinkedIn profile about SAB 121 and also crypto being a legitimate asset class. Listen to this gentleman mention what he believes to be the case is going to happen after SAB 121 is officially, you know, alleviated from the market. And how financial institutions are going to onboard into this space and how this space is going to explode moving forward. Take a second here and listen.
More importantly, I think if this goes through, the amount of, because the rule that the amount of reserves a bank or a financial institution is required to have for the volatility of this asset is incredible, prohibitive from them doing anything.
Yep.
So if this goes through, the amount of tokenization, the assets that can be put on chain is just going to explode. The assets that can be put on chain is just going to explode. So it's important that this works.
Right? Again, that is coming from John Wu at Ava Labs. He thinks that the digital asset ecosystem is going to explode. He's sitting on stage with the likes of BlackRock and Coinbase and Galaxy. Okay. And these are not just random little guys in the market. Okay. This is one of the largest investment firms on the face of this planet sitting on stage with one of the largest centralized exchanges on the face of this planet in the crypto ecosystem, saying that crypto adoption is going to explode after SAB 121. Well, now fast forward, because again, this is one of those video breakdowns from just a couple of months ago that only has 800 views. Nobody's paying attention to this stuff. Fast forward to 5 days ago. Okay. This was posted from Signum Bank, right? Crypto custody gets a green light. What this means for finance. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has rescinded SAB 121, which previously required companies holding digital assets for others to account for them as liabilities, increasing compliance costs. Why this matters. This regulatory shift could encourage major banks to explore expanding their cryptocurrency services, as the removal of SAB 121 reduces compliance burdens and opens the door for traditional financial institutions to offer crypto-related services. Keep in mind, the 3 individual representatives that I showed you guys before I played this video clip of SAB 121, right? They all said that not investing from an institutional perspective into crypto is more risky than investing, right? That having 0% allocated to this space is not the right answer, okay? And here it says, the big picture. While this move brings legitimacy to cryptocurrencies, this is coming directly from Signum's LinkedIn profile. Signum Bank, a bank, is calling crypto a legitimate asset class on their LinkedIn. This is massive, okay? You would have not seen this rhetoric in the digital asset space 3-4 years ago. And unfortunately, that is still where people's minds are at. People are still so devastated from the fallout of FTX that they can't even comprehend what is happening in the digital asset space now, okay? It also raises questions about how traditional institutions will navigate the volatility of digital assets, as integrating crypto services requires managing the inherent risk associated with the market fluctuations, right? And so the reason why I'm even reading this, right? Crypto being a legitimate asset class, banks onboarding into this space. Well, let me show you guys another document where they physically tell you all that this is only going to pick up pace as we progress into the future moving forward. Well, look at this. This is a document. Shout out to the CYPRX researchers for this. If you don't follow CYPRX research on the X space, go do so. They're sharing documents like this all the time with little tiny gems, 1-sentence headliners that never reach the mainstream. This is from the Swiss Financial Innovation Desk, Pathway for 2035 for financial innovation. Again, imagine yourself not getting into this digital asset space in 2025, looking back in 2035 at where the market was and where it's going to be at. This is a report from January 2025, as you can see down here in the bottom. And if we come right down here, a little tiny gem on page 23, all right? It talks about Signum Bank on this page, which is, again, what we just referred to on LinkedIn. It says here, the crypto-native banks like Signum and Amina are among the first globally to offer comprehensive digital asset services. That's besides the point. Down here in the conclusion, okay, this is the most important part of this. I'm just going to read one little tiny headliner because, again, remember, what I'm trying to show you guys is that this space is not dead. And on days like this, where the market is red across the board, these are the days that you want to be scooping up blue chip digital assets left and right, packing your freaking bags because of what is about to come. I showed you guys institutional perspectives of individuals saying having 0% allocated to this space from an institutional standpoint is a dumb idea. I've also shown you guys EU commissioners saying that crypto is a legitimate asset class, and then also showed you guys an individual representative saying that once SAB 121 is lifted, this space is going to explode, right? Well, Signum, again, just 5 days ago talked about this and also talked about crypto being a legitimate asset class, and now look at this little tiny freaking gem. Let me blow your mind, and again, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you guys enjoy this type of detailistic research that is never going to be brought to the mainstream attention. Right here on this document, it says, some traditional banks have already implemented a crypto offering, while others are preparing to launch in the near future. They literally tell you to your face that banks are coming, right? Yes, there are some banks here, and I get that there's a lot of impatient people in this digital asset ecosystem that are like, oh, well, they're not here yet, and the market cap, whatever. Understand and have a long-term vision. They tell you this stuff in advance, okay? Word for word. Banks are preparing to launch in the near future, okay? Again, putting all this stuff in such an easily digestible way for you guys. Do me a favor, if you're enjoying this, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. So let's continue down the rabbit hole, okay? How is traditional finance going to integrate crypto into the back-end infrastructure or even utilize crypto, whether it's a store of value, a means to transfer payments faster, whatever the case may be? I firmly believe that digital assets with use case and real-world utility are going to be the ones that survive. So let me back that opinion from opinions of individuals in this space that have many more credentials than I myself that come from traditional finance. Take a second and listen to all of these industry-leading experts say pretty much the same exact thing, that the digital assets that have real-world value and use cases are the ones that are going to survive.
Thank you, guys. So since all of you guys are from traditional banking and now leaning into the crypto space, so you understand the both world, right? So in your view, what are some of the current challenges in the financial systems that can be addressed by crypto and digital assets?
Sure, I'll take this one to start us off. I think right now you see this dichotomy of crypto for the crypto world and crypto for the real world. And I think that that's a really interesting bridge, that we're seeing how digital assets can create a global ecosystem and finance platform in a really safe, secure, and sound manner to allow use cases that either had incredibly high transaction costs or huge barriers to entry in terms of being able to have this global economy that we all need. And I think that that's where I really see a future in terms of the use cases. And the use cases that resonate are not only on the investment side, which I think, you know, a lot of folks in the audience and that we've chatted to at this conference are very deep in, but also the really human use cases and how you can unblock access to financial services for people that have been traditionally kept out of those on a global basis. And that's a lot of what, you know, when we're talking to policymakers, the lead team, we try to take it from the world, which seems opaque and seems hard to understand, and really humanize it and give those use cases, like a gig worker in the US who's trying to send money back to El Salvador. And instead of using something with incredibly high transaction costs and very long delays, can actually find a 24/7 secure way in an economically efficient way to send money. And I think that that's how crypto can be incredibly impactful across multiple domains.
And so I go to these things and I say, well, this is all just to facilitate trading and speculation. That used to be more of the case. Things are transitioning nicely into what we would call actual use cases, right?
Observations on what Talia just talked about. From the standpoint of how we've decided, you know, what areas and what asset classes we're interested in, a little bit of what I think is different now than maybe 3 or 5 years ago is that there is much more engagement with the technology, and so more institutional players and infrastructure providers are getting into this space, and more traditional investors are curious about it. But what I think really is going to drive adoption is real use cases and real purpose. So real use cases and real purpose. So
Eventually, those that have the greatest credibility will integrate into our normal financial system.
Right. So you guys get the gist. Again, these are perspectives from industry leading experts letting you all know that the digital assets that provide real world value will be the ones that are integrated into the financial system in the future. Okay. Right now, we are still in a speculative nascent stage of this. And so it behooves you all to do your research, to join like-minded communities like ours here at CYPRX, where we have literally hundreds of hours of documented crypto research and continued documented crypto research that never reaches the mainstream on blue chip digital asset projects that you can take a look at. Again, to each his own. It is your choice whether or not you invest in them, but at least we open the door for you all here at CYPRX to understand what those digital asset projects are or could even be, right? Because right now, we are so lucky to have this opportunity, especially if you're under the age of 30 to maybe even possibly 40, where you have 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you to really experience life-changing wealth. And I'm not saying that if you're older than that, right? If you're in your 60s, which we have a lot of individuals in our community in their 60s, that you're not going to experience life-changing wealth between now and maybe 10 years from now. But still, we have such a massive opportunity to completely revolutionize the way in which we understand finance. And that is happening right before our very eyes. And crypto is 110% going to be integrated into the back-end financial system. So again, it would behoove you guys to start to do research on blue chip digital assets like XRP, XLM, Quant, HBAR, XDC, VLO, so many others out there that I'm not even naming off the top of my head, right? Algo. I mean, don't get upset at me that I didn't list off your blue chip digital asset, but you guys catch the drift, right? The digital assets that are solving real world problems and have real world use cases, right? With that being said, many blessings to you guys. As always, do your own personal research. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and invest in any of the digital assets that I just listed off. I'm just trying to show you guys examples and perspectives from some of the world's leading industry experts in this space and in traditional finance. Tell you guys that we are on the cusp of mass institutional adoption, and you do not want to be late to the party. Don't forget that if you guys want access to the CYPRX private Discord, where you have all of the CYPRX researchers in the private Discord sharing documents, sharing fundamentals, sharing video clips that never reach the mainstream, you can head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you in the private community. Come tap in with us. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.